What is up, fight and wrestling fans? I am Jason Burgos for Sportsnaut.com, and I have the absolute pleasure of being joined by one of the faces of AEW, who will also be serving as a guest commentator for fights on July 15th and the 22nd on Paramount Plus for Combate Global MMA. And that amazing talent I speak of is AEW Women's World Champion, the one, the only. She is Thunder Rosa. Madam Rosa, thank you so much for the time today.
Well, hello. Happy Friday.
It is a happy Friday. Getting a chance to talk to someone like you does get me happy. I have so many questions because you're doing so much right now. But let's first talk about the Combate stuff. Talk to me about how this guest commentator gig kind of came about, because you're obviously very busy being a champion of the world for one of the top promotions on the planet. When you get this call, this opportunity, what were like your first thoughts? Because yes, some people may not realize you did fight for Combate, make your MMA debut in 2019, but you've gone on and kind of just refocused on wrestling. Was it kind of like a weird blast from the past? Like, oh, I thought that part of my life was over, but maybe not.
No, like in the back of my head, like MMA, like jits. I have a lot of friends that are in the MMA arena, and they're always like, "You need to go back and train. You need to go back and train." And I don't remember, I was talking to somebody, and then they're like, "Are you gonna fight again?" And I'm like, maybe if they let me fight, right? Because my schedule as a professional wrestler is very busy, and there's very, very few that have done the two things at the same time, and it's very, very, very hard. So Mike just out of the blue, like texted me, and he's like, "Would you like to fight in August?" And I'm like, absolutely not. I'm not even ready to run right now for 5 miles. But I said, but if you have any, just like, keep me on the loop. And then Mr. Campbell contacted me. He's like, "Hey, we'll have you in one way or another in our show. Are you interested in doing commentary?" And then Mike said, like, "Yeah, Mr. Campbell would like you to do commentary." So it was just like about getting the permission from AEW to like allow me to do commentary, and things worked out really well. I mean, I left July open on purpose because I wanted to take some time off. Like, look at me taking some time off doing commentary, and now I'm back on the MMA arena, which I'm really excited. As a color commentator, you can be more like joking around and doing things that you're not like so like stressing every single move, every single punch, every single kick, everything. I've done commentary and color commentary in wrestling, so I think I'm gonna bring the wrestling flair to Combate Global, which I'm really excited. And this week, I'm gonna be doing a lot of studying of the people that are gonna be on the card on the 15th and on the 22nd, so I know what their go-tos and how long they've been, training and fighting. That's very important.
And it's good. It's good to know, that you mentioned, you've done commentary with AEW and stuff like that for broadcast. But AEW World Champion CM Punk, he's done a lot of MMA commentary for working for CFFC. You do have the experience, but it's a kind of a different thing. Would you reach out to him just because it's a different timing, it's a different thing? He has that experience in terms of where you fit in during a fight and the action and the play-by-play. Will you like get any advice from him, or you'll kind of wing it and go through the motions and figure it out on your own?
I think I'm gonna wing it. I always do it. Unfortunately, right now, Punk is not with us on the road. He's injured, so I don't know when he's coming back. I mean, I might just ask one of my peers to like get his number and just ask him like some pointers. If not, I'll just like listen to some of his commentary too, so it wouldn't be, I could be like, all right, this is what you do. I mean, I've listened to a lot of the commentary, but it's in Spanish when Alberto Rio used to do it, right? And then all the commentary in Spanish. So, but when you're like doing things in Spanish, it's completely different than doing commentary in English. I can tell you that. It's like, I don't know. I think like we get to joke more and say like certain words than in English, but we'll figure it out.
Do you have to? Because even for someone that's like covering the sport and stuff like that a long time, God, there's so many different moves, so many different names, so many different things. Then you have so much focus on your career, in wrestling, your own life. Do you have to kind of like, how much have you watched MMA since you've had this bigger focus responsibility now with AEW, and do you kind of have to bone up on the sport a little bit going into this, just to kind of get the moves, remember the moves, the names, like it's an interesting thing to jump into because it's so complicated with so many elements into it.
Well, yeah, of course, you definitely have to pay more attention, not so much to the fight. It's more what the people are saying. So you're like, okay, this is what it is, like the timing. Because there's so many disciplines that are in MMA, so you have to like be able to say certain stuff. I mean, I have really, really, really good people alongside me. That's Max Bretos and Rodolfo Roman, and I know they're very excited that I'm gonna be there. So I know they're gonna like probably I'm gonna email them like, hey, send me a list of like a moves right now. So I'm just like, so I got myself to do them. But listen, when you want to learn something and then you want to relearn something, to just put your mind into it and then just, trial by fire. And if I suck, I suck. If I don't, I think people are gonna be like, okay, Thunder Rosa is very entertaining. Bring her back. I think at the end of the day, when you have somebody in commentary, you want somebody that is gonna entertain you, that is gonna, know what that person is talking about, and two, that is gonna bring viewerships to watch this, which is Paramount Plus, which like I said, I'm very, very excited to do it in English, and for Mr. Campbell to give me an opportunity. He really trusts in what I'm doing, and I think like I said, I'm very, very excited.
And you mentioned earlier about Mike from Kamata asking about a fight. With all the success you have right now, and just being a representative of women's MMA, women's wrestling, Hispanic wrestling on a major scale, is there still an itch to go back to MMA at all, or it's kind of a thing like, way down the line, I'll think about it.
And it's like those times then where you have all this pin up anger, and it's like, I really want to face. I really want to feel like, I want to feel that, like, the edge, the adrenaline. Like, all my friends are like, Melissa, you don't need to do that. And I was like, I understand I don't need to do that, but it's just like, it's just like, I don't know. I don't know. Have you ever fought before?
No.
It's an edge. It's an edge in, like, you are allowed to, like, get wild and try to kill somebody in 15 minutes, right? So it's just like, it's something that you can't explain, but I will love to do one before I decide to just like not do MMA anymore. But again, it's like finding the time and finding, like, just not traveling so much on the weekend so I can focus when I'm home to train when I'm home, which is like the most difficult part. Because I know Jake Hager, he's doing that. He fights in Bellator, and he's been training for about, now it's been like 8 months. He's in such shape. He's ready, almost ready for his fight. And his wife was just telling me about it. And like, I have to make sure that when I decide to do this, that I find the right camp, because I don't want to do last time because I didn't have the, knowledge I have now. But I have the resources to go to places and be with the best trainers, especially because I decided to do professional wrestling instead of continuing steadily to do MMA, because of like the time commitment that it takes to be in there.
Of course, we have to talk about your run in AEW. That is the money maker after all. AEW is fascinating right now because there are these two separate women's titles, two dominant champions, and you and TBS champion Jade Cargill. AEW hasn't done a pay-per-view headliner with women yet. With how well both of you are going right now, this feels like something big is there to mine again. Would it be a big disappointment if you two aren't in like a pay-per-view main event unification title bout kind of thing within the next 6 months to make this kind of payoff of how well both of you are doing right now?
I don't know about the unification of the titles, but if we can do that would be very, very awesome if we can do a main event pay-per-view. And that will be absolutely amazing, I think. And just being part of it, and I was just part of a pay-per-view where I was part of the only women's match in the card. And, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. Like, I feel like I've been put in very, very difficult situations a lot of the times, and we were able to, like, rise to the occasion, which is going to be the same with Combate Global. Live 15 and Paramount Plus. But I don't know. I'm like, sometimes I don't put a lot of thought stuff. I am honestly at this point, I'm enjoying the ride. I'm enjoying the moment. I'm enjoying being a champion. I'm enjoying bringing my championship and like doing stuff like this that we can go promote and represent women because I feel like with going back to Combate like really pushes women and like a third of their roster is women, so and they do nights and where the women's are the headliners. So it's really cool that I can work with companies that are as progressive as that. And I know Tony Khan has some plans for the future, and he like sprinkles information here and there, but I don't know, like we'll see what he has in mind.
Over the last 3 months, AEW and even WWE have been like kind of just plagued by a bunch of injuries to like major names. AEW's schedule isn't necessarily crazy as old school schedules were, but the promotions that has a very physical style. You specifically have a very physical style. What do you do to try to kind of just maintain your body and get through the rigors of this really difficult physical job? And have there been times where you kind of go to Tony and be like, look, I kind of need like a LeBron James maintenance day today. Maybe I can't perform in the ring. I'll do something on camera, but I don't want to get a major injury. I just need a day or something like that because it is so arduous.
Before I was a champion, I worked through an injury for a long time. It was very, very painful because I was working so much. And as a professional wrestler, sometimes we're like so stubborn and then we just keep going and going and going and going and going and going. But you just have to learn how to maintain, how to take care of your body, which is the one thing I've done in the last 3 months. My body felt this good in a long time. And even now when I do my like matches as physical as the ones that I do, I make sure I ice, I make sure I do like bath salts, chiropractor services, massages. Like it's a bunch of stuff that you have to do to maintain your body to its max. Now, because I'm about to turn 36 this month, I have to do a little bit more of stretching every day in the morning and night. That is very important to keep your, joints, to its best. I like to run, so that takes a big, counting on my knees and on my feet. But I try to stay, like I said, I try to stay in shape. I try to eat healthy. I try to stay at a certain amount of weight because once you start hitting or being a little more overweight, it just affects absolutely everything. So you compromise your immune system, and it's rough. And again, it's rough because I'm a professional athlete and I have to stay and I have to look a certain way. So I have to make sure that everything I do is catered to that, and also everything that I do outside of the ring is catered to maintain my body. And when I get injuries, make sure I do, physical therapy, which is so important to like recover faster. But like I think, like I said, a lot of the wrestlers, we all have worked with injuries. It's something very normal.
Now, a major story going on with AEW made headlines, the whole situation with MJF and rumors wanting to get paid and stuff like that. And I wanted to get your opinion because, you've had to really grind to where you are, through the wrestling business, dabbled in MMA to expand your brand, we're a workhorse for AEW through those early pandemic days, and I'm sure you appreciate your doubt. I have no doubt as a professional and as a provider for family, husband, kids, stuff like that, how much do you feel like youthful immaturity kind of plays into a situation like that for him where yes he probably deserves more, but he signed a deal. You have to kind of be a pro, get through it, and kind of appreciate where you are. And nothing against him, just that's what comes with being youthful. You kind of you're not appreciative of that grind for a person that's in their 30s and stuff like that. How much do you think that might play into a contract situation like that?
It's very complicated because everybody different deal with any company that you sign. I'm just gonna talk about me personally. I can't talk about NJF because I don't really know his situation. It's just whatever I know. There's been very extreme situations and where I'm very unhappy with the places that I've been, but I was the one who chose to sign that, and I didn't read the fine print, and it happened to be a couple times. So, you either roll with punches or pay a lot of money to your lawyer so you can get out of the contract, right? So those are your options. So, I've decided to roll with the punches And thankfully, like, God blessed me with better opportunities and better ways to like provide for my family. And I just have to I just, like I said, I just have to look at the positive, and that aspect, because there's a point where there's nothing you can. You're stuck. You're either, like I said, you either have the money to pay a lawyer, it might cost you double with what you're making, but you'll be free, or you're just, make the best out of it, which as I always, when things are happening like that, I have, like, this is my mindset now. You have to make the best out of it, and better opportunities will come. I mean, not uh the storm never lasts forever, right? So there you go.
I mean, and this is kind of like almost perfect time in a way because NBA free agency, a big thing right now. Big stories. Kevin Durant wants to get traded. Do you think, especially going to your experience where maybe you were happy with your contract, do you think that should be maybe more of something we see within the big wrestling promotions, the idea of a trade, like UFC and One Championship sort of did something like that a few years ago where they traded Demetrius Johnson, a top star, kind of let him go to One Championship. One Championship let one of their champions go to UFC. Like MJF for like Charlotte would make sense or something like that because Charlotte's husband's in AEW, maybe she's not. Do you think trades should be something that maybe promotions should sort of think about?
We're talking about forbidden doors, right? This is like the huge forbidden door that will, I don't know if they're decide they want and like try to knock on. Like, I don't know. I mean, that would be a crazy idea. I mean, probably like in the 80s, 70s with the territories will be easier to trade people, right? But I don't know. I mean, you can never knock on and say no, it's not gonna happen, but who knows? That would be insane.
Speaking, like talking about ideas of, being a veteran and stuff like that, you are super established in this industry, one of the faces, leaders of the women's division. But AEW still developing that division, still developing talent in general. Have you, especially as a champion, one of those specific leaders, have you actively looked to kind of impart that wrestling knowledge on younger talent, women or men, or have other performers come to you looking for that advice? Is that an interesting role to kind of take on?
Outside, I own my own women's promotion called Mission Pro Wrestling, and I'm always looking when I'm, in different cities for new talent. I have like pretty much scouted talent for my own promotion, just like, again, like how Combate Global does with all the female fighters that they have, because we're like trying to create stars, and you feature those that are that have the best qualities to become that, and at the end of the day, you can help them get where they need to get. And I used to teach, I used to have a school a couple months ago, but then I got really busy and I have to like put it on the back burner. I think for me that's gonna come in the next couple years once everything starts slowing down. I think teaching and focusing on teaching women specifically will be what I would like to do, professional wrestling. And that's the reason why I stay, so active I still train every Wednesday with Dustin Rhodes. He's one of my main trainers. When I'm here at home, I try to come and I go to hybrid, a school of wrestling. And then when I have some time, my son also wrestles, Anakin Rosa. We go and travel to Mexico or different states and like stay there for a couple of weeks or a couple of days. We train with different people because it's always good to like, just kind of like on MMA when you go and do like camps with people and just learn different styles and just refresh the knowledge that you have, because you never stop learning.
And it's interesting because you've done so much, and that learning is still an important thing because you've been thrust into those positions where you have to like walk out, go out in front of a rowdy crowd, look into a camera, and be entertaining, and that's not easy. Now,
No.
I'm of the belief of like writers and stuff like that. If it's a collaborative effort, it's a positive. But AEW really doesn't do that. They leave the performance, let them do their own thing. You've had experience doing promos, of course, before, but it's just a different level when you're on, and that's such a big audience in person and millions at home. Has there been like a learning curve aspect to like that part of the game for you? And are there like even wrestlers maybe you go to for advice for that kind of stuff?
Yes, it has been. I think it's because like people get used to certain people being on TV all the time, and then they switch it and you have a different personality, and then uh I don't know, like it took a while for people to like warm up to me, and then when they let me be me and then say what I needed to say, they're like, oh shit, like she can actually talk. So I was like, I've been telling you guys I can actually do it. But it's um I have gone to different friends that they are writers. They've been working for wrestling for a long time, and they always give me pointers on how to approach the people and how to approach the camera and how to talk and like how to practice it. And like also agents at AEW have helped me tremendously to you know to channel all my ideas, because that's another thing. You have to channel all your ideas, because you can be just rambling and everybody, what did she
Yeah.
just say? It, and I mean, it takes me a while. That's one thing. English is not my first language, so my word of choices is not the best sometimes. So I have to be very careful with what I say and how I approach it, because also the way that I speak, some people are like, you sound like you're upset all the time. I'm like, no, that's how I talk. I'm from the north. El norte. We speak very like blunt and like direct and to the point. And I forget that I have to like, do peaks and valleys, and I can just be like, no, 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 because they're not gonna understand.
Being like one of the champions of the promotion, does that like change the dynamic between you and the office people, the agents, Tony, and all that stuff? Does it change the dynamics of the locker room? Is there like different expectations? Is it different demands? Like, or is there different opportunities like this Combate Global? Does being a champion give you leverage maybe to do more that maybe you didn't before you were champion?
In certain aspects, yes, and in certain aspects, no. I think as a champion, you're representing, the company. You're representing, as a woman, I'm representing the women's division, and it is very important that I represent it in a way where it's positive, that is gonna, give opportunities not only for me, but it might give opportunities to other women that are there, that maybe if I can uh, attend an event, somebody else could do it. It's just not necessarily. Probably they're gonna go. Of course, they go first to their champions, because it's nice to see like their champion with a little title. But then it's really really important that as a representative, like this is something that one of my vets told me, there, that you take the good and the bad, and then you take ownership of both, and that's what I definitely have been learning in the last 3 months. That people see me differently in AW, like the office. No, they always treated me the same way, with the same respect. When I go and ask for extra things, they have to do it with time, because everything has time constraints. Like this opportunities, I'm pretty sure if I would have asked before I was a champion, they would have said yes, because of what will represent for both companies, because it's a co-promotion, for both, for Combate Global and for AEW, because I will be coming with my title, taking pictures, doing all the media, and talk. Like I said, for me, it is very important that we talk about how Combate Global it's promoting Latinos, and how important it is to have organizations that are willing and to promote Latinos, and to boost them to become stars, because it is so hard as a fighter to even make a living out of this business. And I it so many times. And let's talk about, like you were saying, the promo stuff. Like the ones that have sold the most tickets are the ones that are able to use a microphone and boost their fights. Yeah, regardless if it's true or not, they like the bochinche, they like the chisme, they like the fighting, before the fight. Like Joanna was really good at doing that, and then they're like, "Oh my God, she's so nice," and she loves getting on people's faces and being and saying this stuff like that. Is just it's a spectacle, and they want to see in a spectacle. Like the same with boxing. Like I know all my friends that are from Mexico, they want to see trancazos, and they don't see trancazos in MMA, and they start throwing. They're like, "Boo, pégale, pégale." I've been in so many MMA ones alive, and they don't see a lot of punches, and they see very technical. They're not used to seeing that. They're
Yeah.
used to see boxing. Like again, it is important that we have companies like this, and like now, me being the first ever Mexican born champion in a major company, to be able to do things with both companies, because we're like, you can be a woman of color, you can be a professional fighter, you can be a champion in a major company for professional wrestling. Like nothing is impossible. Now you can be a commentator. So yeah, I think it's very very important that like we represent as much and as best as we can as Latinos.
Last question, because you bringing up that connection, is that the kind of the hope? This thing with Combate isn't a one-off and it's a long-term, like, because there's benefits from both sides for something like this. Like, has AEW seen the benefits? Because for Combate, they have a AEW champion. They can connect with a certain audience, a younger audience that AEW has, but AEW can connect, with a Hispanic audience, which is a huge audience in the U.S. Not even like just going to Spanish-speaking country. In the U.S., Spanish-speaking audience is massive. Is that the hope for you, that there is a longer connection between Combate and AEW, because there's benefits on both sides and you get to benefit and be in the middle of it all?
Absolutely, 1,000%. When I came with the idea of becoming a commentator for Combate, was the first thing that I said. Combate is the number one MMA show watched by the Latino community all over America and in Latino America too. Like a lot of my friends, I think my mom and my dad watch my stuff in Tijuana live. So I know people are watching. They love their boxing. They love their mixed martial MMA even talk, but they love that. They love action. They love all that stuff. And I always tell my friends that people like novelas, people like things that they feel comfortable, right? And a lot of other Latinos, they watch professional wrestling. They want to feel invited. So I think it's a great opportunity to invite other Latinos to watch, AEW, to watch what we have to offer. I mean, we have Andrade, we have Lucha Brothers. There's me. Yep. There's Mercedes Martinez, she's another Puertorriqueña that is there. There's proud and powerful. Santana and Ortiz are there. Like we have like several people that are representing the Latino community, and I think it's just that they can take a chance on us and see what we have to offer as professional wrestlers. So we're very, very excited that Combate Global is letting me do this, and you can watch it, if you don't speak English, you can watch it in Español en Univision, and if not, you can watch us on Paramount Plus every Friday.